is a prepaid debit call from
Oh no.
An inmate at the correctional institution.
To accept this call, press 0.
Every increment of consciousness, every step forward is a travesía, a crossing. I am again an alien in new territory, and again and again. But if I escape conscious awareness, escape knowing, I won't be moving. Knowledge makes me more aware, it makes me more conscious. Knowing is painful because after it happens, I can't stay in the same place and be comfortable. I am no longer the same person I was before. Gloria Anzaldúa, right? And she's a Mexican scholar. And she said something really important there, C's, right? And that's about just how important it is not to stay stagnant, right? She says that it's a travesía, a crossing, right? Every time that you learn something, you no longer are the person you were before because now you have accepted new information. You have now changed the fundamental aspect of who you are, which is what's going on between those two ears of yours, right? And
Yeah.
so today I want to touch on something real important, man, and that's the importance of change and how it's something that I think that we should all be striving towards with vigor, right? It's something that we should be going towards every single day. Every single day you should be looking to get better. You should be looking to change.
Push your own boundaries, basically, right? Like
Absolutely.
that's basically what change is, right? Like you're pushing your own boundaries on strength, intelligence, knowledge, um, anything, right? There's a lot that we can change of ourselves. So, no, you're right. I mean, those are the those are the times that have made me most uncomfortable, right? Like even as as much as you want to be on that other side, right? Like when you're about to like go through some change or need to go through some change to be able to make it to the other side. Like, man, even again, even with Awakened Koala now, right? Like these last 4 years have been nothing but growth and growing pains, right? Like that's part of the it's part of the recipe, man. Like if you really want change or growth, I mean, it's like you're gonna go through some pains, you're gonna struggle.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like once you know that stuff, you're not the same person anymore, and that's the beauty in it, right? At least I think that's what she was kind of stating.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really loved, I've always loved about that quote, is just how it really touches on something that's important, isn't always something that isn't always celebrated in some of the neighborhoods that we come from, right? Some of the places that we come from, right? It's not celebrated to change, right? People will,
Yeah,
right, will make you feel bad because you've changed, right? People will make you feel like, change is a bad thing when in reality, it's exactly what you should be aiming for, right? Because if you're still the same person you were 5, 6
5
years
years,
ago,
10 years ago.
right? Like
Yeah,
that's a shame. Like you're doing yourself a disservice. You are not growing, right? And if you're not growing, then you're not getting better.
yeah,
And so that's one of the reasons that I felt that it was so important to talk about this, and the Caesar and I really agreed to talk on this was because we realized that one, right, we come from a culture that doesn't always celebrate change. Like of course coming from, Latino backgrounds, but then also, we know what the culture is like just generally, within communities like ours, right? Uh
inner cities. I mean, if you
Inner
really
city,
want,
urban
yeah,
neighborhoods,
yeah.
right? No, but and everybody people get mad at you when you change. Why is that, C's? I don't know.
I I don't know either, man. I think it's just the consistency of like when you know your environment, everyone's comfortable, right? The moment you're different from what you're used to, it's like you become a problem or you're like out the norm.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. That's just my thought. I mean, I'm probably wrong, but hey, like for us, I think the moment again, look going back to what she was saying, right? Like the moment you learn something, it it immediately changes who you are, and you can't go back to the person you were before.
Yeah.
And I personally feel that like that really came for us when once we went to college, man. Like I distinctly remember my second summer or my second year in college, and I went back. How just like I was home, but it just felt. I mean, it wasn't different. I just saw it differently. Like
Yeah.
I had extra lenses to experience whatever I had been growing up that I was used to for 18 years, right? But the moment I went back, I was like, "Yo, like I realized like this is crazy." Like
Things are vastly different
yeah,
than I think I remember them being, right? Like, yeah,
yeah,
you go to a place where you meet new people. You
and
go
it
to a
ain't
place,
change.
and
That's the part.
yeah, exactly. Like everything around you has changed. You go back home and nothing's changed, right? Like
Yeah.
people are still the same people. You got the same friends doing the same things, right? Wondering why nothing changes.
And I meant, and to be honest, man, like you don't need college to change that. Like a lot of the time, it's just like like you just need something to trigger that like mental wake up, right? And whatever that is, it can be different triggers for different people, man. Like I know people who've gone into the military, you know, and that's changed their mental, right? And then they come back and like their whole environment is different, even though like again it hasn't changed since they left, right?
Yeah,
Um, and again, that's just like, man, like the commonality between all this stuff is like getting removed from your like comfort, right? Like when you're in the same place with the same people doing the same stuff, you become like comfortable. And change isn't really not I won't say an option, but like you don't really need to change, like. But the moment that you can get removed or like you end up somewhere else that's not from what you're used to, where like you automatically have to change. Like you start adapting because it's a new city, a new place, new
yeah.
state, whatever it may be. It's just new. So you're like, okay, I gotta learn again. Right.
And change isn't comfortable,
Yeah, it's not.
right? Like it's not something that people actively want to do. The truth is that we would prefer to stay, in our comfort zones, right? Like,
Yeah.
stay in that little bubble where you know that things are okay, right? And so, the thing is that, right, you ask people, what do you want? And they say, I want something different, right? They want something different, but they're doing the same shit. And it literally blows my mind sometimes how, I mean, of course, right? You hear this phrase, or not this phrase, yeah, this phrase, this saying, this adage, right? That you know um someone who does things over and over again and expects a different result, right? The
Oh
definition
yeah.
of insanity,
Yeah.
they say, right? And of course that's not the true definition of insanity, but right, but it is telling you something, that if you continue to do the same thing, but you expect different results, then something is wrong,
You
right?
tripping,
You're
basically.
tripping. You're tripping, right? And
Yeah.
so, and again, guys, like I work I work in social work, right? And so, a lot of the work that I do outside of this is really trying to help young people, right, get themselves together, get themselves out that rat race, work towards better things. But the truth is that a lot of times they're not willing to put in the work. They're not willing to put in the kind of work that it takes to truly change, right? But change, it just comes with learning new things,
Yeah.
right? Like, what college did for us was offer us a different perspective, right? Like, it's not like we went there and suddenly they're just handing us books and we're, reading them all and digesting it and be like, oh, we're getting so smart. Like, that's not how college
Nah.
works, right? Like, it's the people you're meeting,
Yeah.
it's the places they come from, the conversations you're having, being in a new environment, right? Like, there's so many things that come of this, but she says in her quote, I am again an alien in new territory, right? Like, once you can't unknow. And so, there was a long time ago, I saw this video with Snoop Dogg, where he talks about, closing the gap, right? He's like, I was able to get myself to a point, right, where I've reached a certain level, but a lot of the people that I started the journey with didn't really come with me. And he's like, and it's not that I wanted to leave them behind, but it's just that there was really one of two things that had to happen. Either I had to drop down to their level or they had to rise to mine. Right. But dropping down to their level usually means that I'm the one that's going to, face consequences for that. Right. And he's like, so, closing the gap, he's like, you either got to leave these folks behind, or you go right back there with them. It's like all the crabs coming out the barrel. Right. And I don't know, man, like, C's, I know you've had a lot of instances in your life where, change, maybe wasn't welcomed, right? Maybe it wasn't what you wanted in the moment. But the one thing that change will do is it'll force you to adapt. Right. And that's ultimately what ends up giving us a lot of those lessons that we need. Right. Like, I know you can do that, but
nah, I mean, hey man, like even yes, was it I left or was it? I mean, I can say that change has been drastic for me since like 2020, right? Like, and that's even just like keeping it within the last 4 years now.
Yeah.
Or 3 or 4. I mean, I look, can't
they
do math.
stick together. You don't really know what's going on anymore.
Yeah. But no, man, like moving from Cleveland, then going to LA, then traveling the country, then doing time in New York, and then deciding that that's not going to be it, then moving down to Miami. Like like in that, like I've named like 5 different transitions where like I can't really say I was ready for any of those, but I just knew that like whatever changed or whatever was about to happen, it was up to me to figure it out and make the best of it. I mean, and luckily I also had my business partner with me too, so it wasn't like a one man front.
Yeah.
But it was like but at the same time, like it takes mental engagement, right? Like to make it happen, right? Like it wasn't just like I was just like mindlessly just stepping in and just like, oh, it's gonna work. No, like like you step in, you don't know what's happening until you see it, and then you react, and you continuously just do that, right? And again, LA is different from Cleveland, LA is different from New York, Miami is different from, like these are all different cities that I just didn't know like that, and that we moved to those back to back within a 3-4 year span, trying to figure out what we were doing on top of what we're trying to figure out with the business. That's just like the moving to a new city, trying to figure it out, right? That's not even adding in the business side. I went in just doing media. Now I'm doing media and marketing, right? With like some consultation on this. So you know what I'm saying? Like the adaptability is so crazy. Like,
man, and like she said in that quote, right? Like every increment attributes to your consciousness, right? Every increment is a crossing, right? So every single thing that you go through, right? You moved from city to city, right? Like, I don't think that people understand how uncomfortable that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and you learn a lot about yourself when you're going through shit like that, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, but that's the good part, man. Like, because it's, as much as it sounds like I'm just it's terrible. No, like, yeah, like, because it's not, you're shocking yourself into change, right? Like you're pushing your boundaries, like I said earlier, you're pushing your boundaries into like seeing what you can and can't do, right? Like you learn, like you said, like you learn about yourself real quick. I'll tell you that much.
Real quick. And sometimes you're not really happy about what you learn.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's honestly, I feel like that was the most efficient way to learn about yourself and your skills, and seeing how you can improve whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? Because like there is no other test that best molds you than fire, right? Like fire molds anything the best, right?
You get thrown in some water, you got to do one of two things. You got to sink or you're going to swim, but there isn't a whole lot of in between.
No.
And like I can honestly say, man, that like, it's been a long time since, we're so far away from where we started, even on this podcast. Right? Like we talk about it all the time, C's, right? Like this podcast, right? It started as like let's get the word out there about what we're doing, right? What we're going through, right? I started this podcast in a prison cell. You started this podcast on the road in Tulum, Mexico.
Yeah.
Right? Like, like that's where we were at the time. And now look at us, man. You know what I mean? Like we've changed so much. I tell people all the time now, I don't regret prison at all. I don't. Once upon a time I did, right? But that was a crossing, right? That was something that I went through that I'm not going to sit here and say I had to go through.
Yeah.
But it brought so much value to my life, right? Like cuz now I'm a different person because I went through that. Right? That again, that taught me something about myself. That taught me something about my ability to survive in places where a lot of people wouldn't do very well. Right? And so, dude, like I'm just at a point now where I'm starting to truly realize like just how important it is for me not only to want to change but to seek that change, right? But to go out and get it, right?
Yeah.
Because every day we know that we're not doing our best, right? Like I feel like there aren't too many days where you wake up and you realize and you can tell that you could look in the mirror and say with absolute confidence that like today I gave it my all.
I'm crushing it
I'm
today. I'm
crushing it,
killing it. Yeah.
right? Like there aren't too many times in our lives where we feel
Nah.
over prepared, but there's plenty of times in our lives where we feel underprepared, right? Like, and I don't know, man. I'm just saying that, like, these experiences we've been through, bro. Like, I can't commend you enough, and I know that we talked about this before on the episode, man. But like, you've been out there really doing the do. Like, you've been out there really like, jumping off bridges, right? Like,
No parachute.
no parachute, like just seeing what's down at the bottom, right? And like.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people understand or appreciate, the kind of bravery that it takes, the kind of courage that it takes to live the kind of life that you've been living. And I I'm on probation right now, guys. I can't travel with my boy C's. Otherwise, I'd be right there next to him because that's where I've always been, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've had our own barriers and our own obstacles to get through as far as like being a team and getting things done, but that we haven't let any of that stop us. And so
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying that from being from on the outside looking in, getting a chance to truly see how much you've had to really muster up courage to kind of take a lot of the dives that you've taken. Even since I've come home, bro, it's crazy to see you've moved from 3 or 4 different places, but you're doing it all for the sake of the business, right?
Yeah.
Caesar's really living this entrepreneurial dream, and I'm right there with him. I just can't travel with them, right? And so, but I see it, man. And again, we just need to be at a point in our lives where we're seeking that change.
And I appreciate those words, man. We don't do it for the acknowledgement. It's just, hey, man, just how you always got to ask yourself like what do you want out of life, and if you're not willing to pursue it, man, like it's really your fault, like there you can't really blame nobody else. So I appreciate those words, man.
Yeah,
Just
man,
know,
and I mean
we're just
that.
grinding.
And
But same from you, man. Like, yo, like I remember when you went to jail, I was like, damn, and
he's done.
fuck,
He's finished. Put
it's
a fork
over.
in him.
It's over. It's over. Nah. But close to it, I was like, all right, that changes the game. But even seeing your growth as you came out too, man, like it's been like it's been I'm sure it's uncomfortable, man, because you gotta tell people you a felon, like you gotta get out here and get a job. So people looking at you crazy,
Yeah.
but then they realize that you're like smart, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Nah. But like
they might pick up that I know a thing or two.
yeah, but
Yeah, no, sometimes they don't.
it's that willingness to like adapt, right? Because you can just sit and you could have just sat and be like, oh, I'm a felon, so like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try, right? Like, I mean, the fact that you've stepped into these positions where you're like a case manager, like you know what I'm saying?
Never would have seen
Yeah.
myself working where I'm working,
Yeah, man. So like, yeah, props to you, and it goes back to like I think the one thing that we got to realize is like, yo, like the world around us is changing. The moment we decide to stay stagnant, we are being left behind, automatically. Like that's why, like, yo, our parents. I love my parents, love them.
Yeah.
But if I gave them any technology, I know they can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a limits to what they can do, right? They can call and they could possibly text me. Outside of that, bro, there's like 90 other buttons there where they don't really know the function to.
There's
Right?
not
Like,
much you're not really too you don't think they're gonna really get all that done.
nah, man. You know what I'm saying? But to be honest, And this is just being honest. Like, yo, that could be us next, or like eventually, like
Mm.
this world, this life will leave us, bro. Like, we see what change does, and eventually, bro, people, like you do get tired, dog. Like this role will never stop changing, and that's my point. Like, it's up to you to keep up with it while we're young, man. We got time. Like, yo, it's up to you. Like, and if you don't want to change, yo, that's cool, bro. Do you?
Caesar, I appreciate you saying that because, um, man, I guess that as much as I'll be honest that I don't often think about how, we are gonna be our parents one day, right? Like no, I've never. I mean, I don't know. It's something that I knew, but something that I guess I never really like thought too deep into. But to think that like the world is changing at a pace in which one day we'll be the ones kind of looking at technology like, man, what is this? Like, what are you asking me to do? Like, back in my day, things were a lot more simple, right? Like, and we'll probably be guilty of saying that one day, but
Yeah.
things won't stop, guys. Nothing will stop.
Yeah.
The world will not stop changing, and so why should you,
Yeah.
right? Like, why should you stop changing? Why should you stop adapting? Why should you, like it's if you try to escape that knowing, right, then you won't be moving. And if you're not moving, then you're not going anywhere, right? And I just want to always encourage folks to really hone into like what it is that they want out of this time on this rock, right? And go get to it, because the truth is that if you don't get to it, if you don't start making these small strides now, then things will just stay the way that they are. Like I'm reading a book right now called Atomic Habits by James Clear, an amazing book for individuals who are looking to kind of get into the mindset of changing up how they approach their days, how they approach kind of the creation and dismantling of habits that they have, right? And habits are a very simple thing, like people don't realize that they are very easy to dismantle, but they're also very easy to create. But just as easy as they are, they can be just as easy not to do, right? It's kind of like that task that can be so easy to do that it's just as easy not to do it, right? It's
Yeah.
like we all have tasks like that. And so, in this book, though, he just talks about how, like, sometimes associating your identity, with what it is that you want to go towards, right? Like, for example, there's a big difference between telling someone that you're trying to quit smoking versus telling someone that you're not a smoker, right? But if you are a smoker and smoking is something that you don't want to do anymore, one's going to have a significant better result than the other, right? Telling people that you're trying to quit smoking still identifies you as a smoker, right? While telling people that you're not a smoker, doesn't identify you as a smoker, and therefore people are like, okay, well then they're not a smoker, right?
It's the positive and negative reinforcement behind the words you're using, right? That's
Yeah,
what it sounds
exactly.
like.
Like it's like using your words to kind of like using your identity, because the truth is that nobody
to
wants
empower yourself.
exactly, because nobody wants to go against who they think they are, right? Like if you tell people that you're someone that, like, I'm a lifter, like I work out, I'm an athlete, right? But you don't hit the gym and you don't work out and you're not an athlete, right? Like those things will like clash eventually. Eventually people are gonna be like, bro, stop saying that. Like you look like a pig, or what I mean? Right. And that's not to shame anybody, right? But I'm just saying that, if you're not doing if you're not keeping up with your identity, then eventually people are gonna ask, not ask, but people are gonna notice that, hey, you're not what you say you are. And that's one of the worst things, and that's one of the things that humans don't want. We don't ever want to be disassociated with what we identify ourselves as.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mean to get too deep on that, but my point is right there, guys. Change is something that we want to strive for, right? Change is something that we absolutely, need, right? Adaptability is what's gotten us this far in humanity, right?
Yeah.
The fact that, the fact that there was always someone that was willing to change. So, that I'm just glad that we had this conversation, and I'm glad that this is an episode that we're going to be dropping, because, I just want people to know that that change is not bad.
It's not bad, and it's not that hard, yo. It's just uncomfortable.
It is.
That's really it. That's all I learned. There's a bunch of stuff that like I didn't think I would ever do or know how to do. I know how to do it now. I'll tell you that much. I didn't have a plan on it, but like, yo, like,
Here we are.
you set your own limits, right? They say like um, you you put your own the limits you have on you are the ones that you set on yourself,
Yeah.
right? I think there's a better way to say it, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, man, like anybody can do it, man. I don't think it doesn't matter what education level you got, what or don't have, right? Like at the end of it, it's like just go if you want to change, just go pursue it.
Yeah.
Go look for it. Like, I mean, I don't know, or not. I don't know. Look,
Or not. And, guys, and we're gonna wrap this one up soon because I definitely don't want this one to go too hard. But
yeah,
one thing that I love preaching is like, hey, it's cool, right? You all want to be millionaires, right? You all want to be millionaires, but can't tell me the difference between an asset and a liability, right? We all want to be millionaires, but you don't know anything about stocks, bonds, portfolios, diversifying, right? You want to be a millionaire, but you don't know anything about money. You don't know about certificates of deposits, right? You don't know about high yield, savings accounts. You don't know the difference between a savings and a checkings, right? You don't know the terminology. You don't know the financial literacy, but you want to be a millionaire. Do you see what I'm saying? Right? Like this is what I'm saying. Like you can't just be preaching just to preach, right? Like at some point you got to start taking these actions, and taking those actions is going to be uncomfortable because guess what? Reading and learning is hard, right? Like learning things is not easy, right? Like
yeah,
and so yeah, like that's just one of my big things, right? Like stop talking about it, be about it, right? Like at least for you, right? Like be about it for whatever it is that you're saying you want to be about, right? Like, and it doesn't have to be a millionaire, but I'm tired of hearing people say all the time that they want to be millionaires. And again, you don't know the first thing about money. You're not about this life. Shut up. Like, you know what I mean? Like
someone's upset. Someone's upset.
I am. I got lazy people in my face all the time talking about how great they want to be, but they ain't making no strides to be great. They don't know nothing. Like you want to be great, but you don't follow great people. Like, and when I say follow, I don't mean Instagram, and I don't mean social media. I mean, but you're not studying the greats, right? Like,
Yeah.
like all of you can name great people, but none of you study these people, right? Like I'm sure if you ask every individual, hey, who are the 5 greatest people that you've learned or heard about, right? You know, you can name a bunch of people, but if I really got to the nitty gritty of it and asked you, well, what made them great? How did they get their wealth? This, and that. I start asking all these questions. You have no answers for me, right? So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Stop talking. Be about it.
Yeah, man. What was
Change.
it? I'm over here. My bad for.
I almost had a rant. I almost went on my 1 minute rant a little early.
Yeah, that's cool. Look, man, we'll leave it there because uh, get you some change.
And we ain't talking about no chump change either, y'all. We're talking about real change.
Get you some change, bro. Like,
You need quarters, not nickels.
yeah.
No, but all in all, we wanted to just say that we're sponsored by our good friends at Awaken Koala.
Mm-hmm.
Want to give a shout out to them. Guys, thank you so much for always being here for us. Listening to these weekly rants. And see if you got any closing remarks on change and the importance of it or lack of it, whatever.
Lack of it. I was trying to quote my boy Nipsey. Basically, if I remember correctly, because I ain't gonna find it. Right, Nipsey says he studied business people's moves like it was his homework. Right, and I remember him speaking on the fact that like, yo, like, someone asked him like, what's the best business advice that you ever got? And he was like, I never got. He's like, I didn't get it. I stole it. Right, so that automatically told me like he was always looking for change, even if it wasn't served up to him like directly.
Yeah.
Like, so if you want change, man, like you can't expect people to hand it to you. You got to go out there and find it for yourself. And change is different for everybody. Like you ain't got to do what we're doing. You ain't got to be about what we're about. But if you're looking for change in your life, you know what change is in your life, whatever that is for you. You got to find that for you.
Absolutely. And I just want to add on that guys, something is better than nothing. All right. Straight up. Something is better than nothing. Right. I'm not telling you to do the bare minimum. I'm just saying that if you're doing the bare minimum, it's better than doing absolutely nothing. All right. Like for real. Like right. If I'm telling you, if you want to learn about any specific thing, then baby steps. If you're trying to read a book, just read a page a day. All right. A page a day. That's it. Don't overwhelm yourself with trying to read 2, 3, 4 a chapter. Nah, man. If you suck at reading, read a page a day. But please, for the love of God, do something and nothing instead of nothing, right?
Yeah.
I want to finish this before we get into the 1 minute rant. I literally just want to read y'all the quote that we started with one more time. Every increment. And now this is she's a Mexican scholar, Gloria Anzaldúa, right? She's a Mexican scholar, and so she does throw a little she a little Spanglish in there for us, and she uses the word travesía. Travesía means crossing. So when I read that, that's all it means. But every increment of consciousness, every step forward is a travesía, a crossing. I am again an alien in new territory, and again and again. But if I escape conscious awareness, escape knowing, I won't be moving. Knowledge makes me more aware. It makes me more conscious. Knowing is painful because after it happens, I can't stay in the same place and be comfortable because I am no longer the same person I was before. And I just want to encourage each and every one of you to be different than the person you were yesterday. Because I guarantee you that the person you want to be tomorrow is probably better than the person you were. All right. So with that being said, I think that it's time for.
You have 1 minute remaining.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna start off. So look, man. I got some beef with the regional area of the United States. I mean, not even regional. It's just like a certain city. I'll name it at the end of my rant. But like, yo, like I don't know what y'all on. I don't know what they put in the water. I don't know what's in the food. But I'm not messing with y'all. Off top, like my experiences have been terrible, terrible to the point where like as a collective business on our end, we're just gonna charge you double to just like scare you off because we're not trying to deal with your like whatever it is. Like I don't know, I don't get it, but it definitely rubbed me and the people around me the wrong way. Y'all can kick rocks. Like that's really what like I learned, and I just don't got no patience for it. I don't even want to. I don't ever want to go there ever again. If it wasn't for the fact that they got really nice nature, I am not messing with that area at all. I'm cool on all. Well, yeah, I'm cool on all of it except for the nature part. I like nature. Shout outs to you, Los Angeles, for just giving me just like the worst vibes ever. Like off top, man. Like ratio wise, it's just like bad experience was like 70%. Like bad. I will never ever go. If I don't need to go over there, I will never go, bro. I'm good. And we will never, even if I'm not in the city, bro. If I find out that you from LA and you trying to do business with us, double tax off top. Like
It sounds so personal.
yo,
Something has happened to Caesar, and we do not know what it is, but it was bad. Let's start. He just wrote off a whole state.
yo,
He said,
yo.
California, I'm done with y'all.
I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, Caesar. I really am.
I'm straight. Like,
My man's over here, like, yo. All right. Well, listen, my 1 minute rant is gonna be, I'm gonna kind of just piggyback off something I was saying earlier, man. I'm just, do better. All right, do better in the sense that, like, don't tell me you want to be a professional wrestler and you don't watch no wrestling, right? Don't tell me that you want to be a millionaire, but you don't know lickety nothing about finances and money, right? Don't tell me you want to be an artist and you ain't made one beat, or you ain't, don't tell me you want to be a producer and you ain't made a beat. Listen, I mean, these things are good to have, but like, you got to start making moves. Something's got to get done. All right. And I'm just saying this for your health and benefit as much as I'm saying it for mine. But it's just that I work with people every single day who have big dreams, and people are very delusional about how dreams come true. I'm just going to say that one more time. People are so fucking delusional about how all of this works. Okay. Now, I'm not the kind of guy that's the whole, you got to grab yourself by the bootstraps. And I mean, no, I get it. Right. There's definitely things in the way. Right. But if you're talking about, there's an endeavor that you want to pursue and you ain't put no work in towards that endeavor, then shut up. Shut up. Shut up. All right. That's my 1 minute rant.
I'm dead.
Hey, California. Count your days.
Dead to me.
Not happy with
Dead
y'all.
to me. All right, y'all. Rant out.
Rant out.